Hey everyone, I'm Lilo and I'm back to talk about putting my imaginary heroes OCs into an alien stage AU. If you don't know who the imaginary heroes are, go watch my video talking about my OCs from imaginary heroes and I talk all about them. Also, I'm gonna assume if you're watching this then you know what alien stage is, but before I get into any of that, some updates. So it's been a little over 3 months since I last made a video, and if you were keeping up with me since the Imaginary Heroes video, you'd know that's because I've been at college. I'm doing well, but it's the main reason why I haven't been uploading. Along with that, I also turned 19 on October 19th and released my first ever song, I Guess I Wait. It's out on SoundCloud and YouTube, by the way. Please go listen to it. I guess you could say I'm a bit of a producer now. It's no sweat. One last thing before I get into my AU, I did rename my characters, and I'll go into all the details in another video. As I bring up each character, I'll say their previous names and then their new ones, which I'll be using to refer to them from now on, or at least until I change them again. Anyway, I have been drawing a decent amount, simply not uploading and focusing on assignments, but ever since Karma came out for Alien Stage, the whole plot and everything has been on my mind heavily. And I really wanted to make an AU for my OCs, so let's get into it. Where do I even begin? I guess we should start with the Mizisua equivalent for my OCs, which are Pixelite and Juuelica. This AU was kinda like the everything went wrong AU, where all of the characters aren't in their thematically representative spots. Theoretically, Lillian and Nightwalker, which are now named Ishha, would be Mizisua, but in this AU, Pixelite ends up being the main character, instead of being pushed to the sidelines, like in my original story. I'll explain at the end of the video who would fit into the thematically correct roles. In this AU, Pixelite would be Mizzy because she doesn't think Juuelica yearns for herself just as much as she yearns for Juuelica. And in my original story, Jules is the only one who truly sees and cares about Pixelite, which is very much fits Sua. Sua knows the darker parts of Mizzy, like how she puts up a facade and fakes a smile, yet loves her regardless. Juuelica fits Sua because Sua is harsh to everyone but Mizzy, and Jules is harsh to everyone, but can be soft around those she loves. Pixelite is very depressed, but puts on a smile and tries to make everyone happy and have a good time. In the end, Jules would end up giving her life as proof that there was someone who truly loved her, and that decision would haunt Pix until the end of the story. Some ways that Juuelica and Pix parallel Mizisua are the things that I mentioned before, and also Juuelica having the darker color palette but adopting the white dress, and Pix being more vibrant, getting the dark dress. Pix also canonically has a higher pitched voice, but Mizzy doesn't, and Jules has a lower one, but Sua doesn't. Mizzy and Sua do a lot of switcheroonies, like with the outfits, personalities, voices, etc., and I think for these reasons they'd fit so well into these roles. I struggled with this drawing a bit at first, but I'm so glad I tried again because it looks so good. Next are Stardust, now named Tarra, as Till, and GFK, aka Ghost Fox Killer, now named Zhui Taiyang, and I'm sorry to all the Chinese speakers if I pronounced that wrong, as Ivan. In the original story, if you watched my last video you'd know this, Tarra saves Zhui, who is on the brink of death. This AU is the same. You know how Ivan sent the monster for Till and Mizzy to see what Till would do? Well, in this AU, Tarra saves Zhui from the monster, which had her in its jaws, and ended up mangling her shoulder and half of her face beyond repair. When Tarra brought Zhui to safety, her guardian alien fixed her, but since her right side was so messed up, it thought that putting a scarf over her would sell her brooding, dark stage persona. In this AU, just like my original story, they actually do love each other, unlike Ivan and Till. They see each other as family and want to protect one another, so I chose a screenshot of a pose from Cure where Ivan was holding Till's face. I wanted Zhui to be comforting Tarra in their last moments together, showing their bond in true sorrow, having to be pit against one another. Zhui ends up sacrificing herself like Ivan did, as a last thank you to Tarra for saving her when they were children. Zhui would rather give her life to the one person who gave her life, or then let them die. So Zhui dies, and Tarra gets to move on to the next round, with Lillian as Luca. This is definitely my favorite drawing out of all of the ones I did, seeing as it was the most original and not just a redraw or draw over. Before I go into Lillian, now named Ishha, let's talk about Nightwalker, who is Hyuna, and Lillian, who is Luca. By the way, Nightwalker and Lillian are the same person in my original story, just one person with two different personalities. In this AU, I treat them as two different people and don't refer to both of them as Ishha, which is what their name is in the original story, but I use Ishha for Lillian and Nightwalker still for Nightwalker. In this AU, they were both clones, but Nightwalker escaped and became part of the resistance, but Ishha didn't get the chance to escape and was forced to keep performing. Now, Nightwalker very much fits the role of someone who wants to save all human and resist oppressive powers. But Ishha definitely is not someone who would laugh at the death of others and only care about one person she can't have. She is very similar to Nightwalker, seeing as they are the same person with the same goal, and would join the resistance if she could. But perhaps in this AU she got brainwashed to enjoy killing others through music, or she became numb to it all after a while. Nightwalker and Ishha both yearn to be with one another again, since they're both clones and would be the only ones who would understand what the other went through, tragically ending up on the opposite sides of the fight. It of course ends with Nightwalker and Pixelite trying to save Tarra from Ishha, but Nightwalker ends up dying and Ishha has no further reason to go on, leaving Pix to burn everything and everyone down, saving Tarra when she thought they were dead. This drawing is a redraw of that one Hyuna scene from Karma, where Hyuna is in her room with Luca's poster torn, crying from hiding her real feelings. And last but not least, Ishha as Luca. As I explained before, maybe she'd be numb or brainwashed, so here I redrew that Karma scene, where Luca is holding Hyuna and Hyunwoo's hearts, crying out of regret. I of course drew Nightwalker as Hyuna, holding her crushed heart in her chest from trying to block out her feelings for missing her other half, who was out killing people through song. But who is Hyunwoo supposed to be? It's Yushi! Don't think I forgot about the co-leader of the imaginary heroes. In this AU, Ishha kills him because she was jealous of his and Nightwalker's relationship. I was originally going to draw the one scene where Luca is a kid and is laughing with blood on his face to complement the Hyuna crying scene, but I changed my mind to not only include Yushi, who barely appears in this AU, but to show Ishha's sorrow. You're probably wondering, is that Yushi and what he would look like as a human? Dark skin and dark long hair? The answer is no. I just made that up for this AU. Yeah, you're not getting that human form anytime soon, buddy. Now for Yushi's heart that's still intact. That's because Ishha always had his heart, because he liked her almost just as much as Nightwalker, but Ishha's jealousy of his and Nightwalker's relationship led to his death. I was going to swap Yushi and Nightwalker's places because I was thinking Yushi's heart could be broken because he was killed, you know, and Nightwalker still loved and wanted to be with Ishha. But I was already deep into the drawing and decided this fit better. This is my second favorite drawing, the Juuelica and Pix being third, the Nightwalker being fourth, and this next one being my fifth. This last drawing is just the designs for Nightwalker, Ishha, Tarra, and Zhui. Usually doesn't get one because he never grew up to have a design outside of the garden. I know, it's foul. And neither do Pix or Juuelica because I thought the canon outfits fit. Nightwalker is wearing a normal tank, shorts, and kicks because that's what Hyuna wears, and has a gun because duh. Nightwalker fights with magic and imaginary heroes, and Hyuna fights with guns. It was too easy of a choice. I made her nice and sunburnt compared to Ishha, who is very pale because she's always cooped up in the alien stage. For Ishha, I gave her an outfit reminiscent of Luca's from Ruler of My Heart, but more her, with flared legs, heels, and see-through side panels and sleeves. She would definitely not wear this in the canon, but I had to change her to fit this AU, okay? Next, for Tarra and Zhui, I of course gave them matching palettes just like Ivan and Till. Tarra is wearing a turtleneck and pants with a long white dress draped over them, because I felt it not only reflected their canon design, but was a nice interpretation of Till's. For Zhui, I just gave her normal pants and a button-up, but with her iconic long white hair and a gray scarf to match. Speaking of matching, the scarf draping over her and the scarf belt matches Tara's dress, and I thought it made them complement each other well. Now for the thematically correct AU. Nightwalker and Ishha would be sisters, as Missy and Sua, with Nightwalker, of course, being the main character Missy, and Ishha sacrificing herself in My Clematis. Pixelite would be the yearner Ivan, and Jules would be the oblivious and rebellious Till, Pix giving her life to the single one who loved her. Zhui would be Luca, and Tara would be Hyuna, and listen, I need to change their personalities around a lot because not all of them fit super well into most of the roles, okay? So, for this everything that they could have done right AU, Zhui would have saved Tara by bringing them out of the confines of the garden, but was taken away by the guards. Tara went on to join the resistance and promised to come back for Zhui, whose life they of course saved in some way before they tried to run away. So Zhui is stuck singing and Tara is with Nightwalker, who both try to save Juuelica and Zhui, who are fighting in Blink Gone. Tara then dies, and Zhui has nothing left to live for. Nightwalker beats her up and saves Juuelica, burns down everything, and runs away, yada yada, you already know. Where does Yushi fit into all of this, you ask? Well, maybe Yushi was being attacked by that monster, and Zhui tried to save him but wasn't in there in time, and he died, which would give Nightwalker more resentment towards her, like Missy has resentment towards Luca. Whew, okay, I think that's everything. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna redo the commission video at some point, gonna make more songs, and I'm going to keep working on the imaginary hero story and characters, so yeah, let me know what you think, okay? Bye!